Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. I am trying to fix our layout on the fly, and I have done so. Oh, no, I made our guest bigger than I am. Now I fix it. Okay, great. Hi, everybody. It's RFK Refugees. I am John. This is not Ted, but you may know him. If you're watching, that's probably more easy to figure out that that's not Ted. But if you're listening, you're about to hear that it's not Ted. Gregory Roche from Pitch Pass. Greg, thanks for joining. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I love the intro. I mean, that's good. That sets a nice vibe. I like that.
I appreciate it.
Is it generic music or is it?
That is royalty free music that I've chose.
Yeah,
I spent about 30 minutes going through those samples, and
well, that's nice. It feels like jazz, like soul kit vibes. It is what it.
I think that might have been the title even. Yeah. For a while we were doing Thundercat, and then we kept getting flagged for copyright violations on YouTube. It's like, you know what? From a business sense, I think we should probably stop doing this.
Got to do it.
And we did. But I will tarry no longer. Ted is, I believe, now on some sort of vacation. He's seeing a concert either in New Jersey or North Carolina. We've got our wires crossed. I don't know. All I know is I was asked to do a solo show, and I said, I'm not doing that. I refuse. I know a guy who feels largely about this team the same way I do, and I think would talks about it already now on his own show. I figured we'll spring in Gregory. So I always like to do this at the front instead of the end because, some people stop listening by the end. Everyone who's listening to us knows you and knows your show, but just in case there's they've threaded the needle. They've listened to RFK Refugees. They've not heard of Pitch Pass. Give us your elevator speech on Pitch Pass and more people can.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I got to give you guys credit because you do a show every week, and it just sucks the life out of me. And I think to myself, what are we going to do this? And then it's just like, we don't do it. So, props to RFK Refugees for doing a show every week. My show, when I do it, is available at pitchpass.com, and you can check my ramblings out. I'm usually pretty good about live skeeting on Blue Sky during the games at Gregory Roche is Blue Sky.
Prolific skeeter, I think if anyone says anything.
Yeah, I can skeet with the best of them. And that's Roche is how you spell Roche. So Gregory Roche.
I appreciate that. Yes, I think that we are not the most of sound mind to do a show every week. I think it's probably a mistake for our own mental health and our sort of where we're at. But we figured somebody has to do this.
Yep.
It's, someone's got to pick up the trash. Someone's got to make sure that the sewage moves through the system. Someone's got to talk about DC United every week. And that's what we do. So, on this show, we're basically just going to talk about, we saw certainly a soccer game. No one can dispute, that up in Chester, Pennsylvania, DC United played Philadelphia Union. There were shots. There were some, for one team, there was shots on goal. There were no goals, but we did see a road point, which I think is an accomplishment after the previous two games. And then we have the latest in the LinkedIn Chronicles that I think I can't help but address. And then we've got a whole bunch of listener questions. We're going to put the whole show on the regular feed this week. So Patreons, you're just subsidizing the good of everyone this week. So I appreciate that. Please keep doing that. So let's get into this game this weekend. We saw a little bit of a change in lineup. Well, I guess what we should talk about beforehand. In the Wednesday Open Cup game, which I discussed at length on someone else's podcast, I thought I was going on to do a 5-minute segment. I ended up doing an hour-and-a-half episode with no notice in a hotel room. I'm not going to do that. Gregory knows what's happened. Like this, no surprises here. What's happening? But after before I call it a thorough disappointment, what was your one big takeaway from the Open Cup? I don't want to call it debacle, but disappointment on Wednesday. What was your what were your feelings?
I can't say I was disappointed because it was an expected kind of result, so I couldn't be disappointed about it. For me, I think that the big takeaway was what we saw in the Philly game. It seemed like One Knoxville was the end of Weiler's and Pirani. That to me felt like the big takeaway. Do you feel that was the same?
I do. I was just going to say, like, the big from midweek on, every press availability, Renée Weiler was losing his mind about his team, and he was. I keep calling him. He sounds like he has a podcast that he talks about this team instead of coaches the team when he does his press conference, because he sounds exasperated. He sounds at the end of his rope. He sounds like, so what am I supposed to do? What am I, the coach? What do I make the lineups? What do I decide what attacking formation or what our philosophy is going to be or something? This team just doesn't want to try. These players are talking and laughing like a bunch of jokers in the middle of the game. I think that is it's one of those things where you can play it once, you can play it twice. When you play it 3 or 4 times,
right,
the players tune you out.
Right.
The conversation around the temperature of your seat starts to happen and change around the league, which has already started to happen. But I was interested to see what was going to happen in Philly after Jackson Hopkins got called out by name, after 2 weeks ago, or maybe now more than 2 weeks ago. But the conversation was this whole team quit. And then we lost 4-0. And then this game, it was, they deserved to win. They wanted it more. We didn't want it more. These are all things that fans would say. But typically, I think you and I experienced the Troy Lesesne experience. Troy, in a million years, would have never, ever done that. He would have said, it was probably my fault. I probably did it. It was in my choices in the lineup. It was in my preparation before the game. It was all my fault. But Renée has been seemingly reluctant to point the finger at himself for anything since he's been. I was trying to recall, had I ever heard him say that? Had I ever heard like a self-effacing word or like, a deflection away from his team's performance to him? And I have not really heard that in the press availability. Have you?
Yeah, but I'm not sure why he would say that when, like, to me, he's been pumped up by the doctor, by Levian, and that's the thing. Like, even when he was hired, I kind of couldn't help but roll my eyes because I'm hearing about his resume and how extensive it is, and I'm like, okay, like he was in Germany, Switzerland. Is that better than MLS? I don't know. Japan. Yes, he's been all over the world, but it's not like he's been at top clubs every step of the way. But when they brought him in, it was kind of we've got a real coach now. It's no more Troy, no more Wayne learning on the job, no more Lasada, young up and come, no more Ben first time in. We've got a real coach. And if you're gonna say that and put that out there, and then also give the coach the highest amount of money you've ever given a coach, the coach is going to come in going, I guess I am a really well thought of and well regarded coach, so I can do whatever I want. And he's kind of doing whatever he wants.
It's just a question of, to me, I don't know what he was told when he took this job on, right? Like he comes in, he probably is told, hey, we've got, and I think said so at the time. I remember very limited media availability of him when he was hired. And I mean, there was the whole debacle around the firing of the predecessor, how everybody got it brought in. It was rolled out very, very poorly. From that perspective of like, hey, fans, do you want to know who this person is that's the coach of this team that we just said is great and we gave him all this money? Too bad. You don't get to know that. Just hopefully you listen to the press conferences where he gives very short answers. Was he told, and what we understand is you've been backed. We're gonna give you the money you need to make the choices you need to make here. We've seen the folly of our errors in the past, and now going forward, we're going to be active on the international market. We're going to bring in big names, 3 big names. We're going to make sure that 3 DPs. We're going to fill the boat. He was at least publicly told all this. He saw the post. He saw the results of this transfer market, this transfer window. Like, I think everyone saw this perform. No, everyone said, who's going to create chances for this team? You've built this team. You don't have a 10. I don't know what Luis is yet, but other than that, you've not made any changes there. You've improved your defense. Baribo aside. Baribo for me is a like for like with Benteke earlier on in his contract. So that you've somewhat returned to par on that perspective. You've not solved the Pirani question. You've not brought any challenge. You said Jackson Hopkins is now your right winger, I guess. And Pegalo is not, there's not been any depth challenge to him on the left-hand side. So chance creation was always going to be a problem, and it is. We can't create. This game, we didn't even shoot the ball in the net. We haven't scored in 3 games. So what was he expecting? Like what he's very upset right now. Was he just expecting that this team could continue to 90-minute bite through steel 0-0 draw and get us to midpoint with a point per game?
It sucks that I have to say what I'm about to say, which is kind of a question, but not really a question. You keep referring to he saw what the transfer window came in. I'm going to argue, John, that he wasn't just standing on the sidelines and then it was This is what you've given me. I guess I have to make salad out of the crap. I feel like he was the voice in the room going, I mean, he was in Romania scouting Lewis. He brought in Caden Clark. Those are two done deal. He did those two things. So if a number 10 wasn't brought in as an outsider, I'm looking at Weiler going, you can't look at the doctor or Levian and say, you told me we were going to do this and you didn't do it. You told them you wanted Lewis and they got Lewis. So like if you had said, here's a number 10 that I think we should bring in, I don't feel like the higher ups of him would have gone, nah. That's a bridge too far. I think Weiler's the one making the decisions. Now I don't know the answer. And that's what I'm like saying to you, John, like, I wish I did know who was making the decisions. And I wish we could discuss this with the knowledge of the hierarchy and who is making what decision on what level, but we don't know. But I'm going to speculate it's Weiler. So none of this should be coming out of left field because he was at the very least in the room for the decisions. And in my opinion, was at the head of the table dictating the decisions.
I agree. I think what I was trying to say is either he was not surprised by who came in because he did it, or he should be pointing the finger somewhat at himself in these press conferences. That's what I'm really trying to say. Is like you went shopping.
Right.
Either you went shopping and got what you wanted, or you went shopping and you weren't backed in the way you wanted. You thought you could get more and you couldn't.
Right. Or you gave the grocery list to the shopper and the family and they brought back the different brand that you asked for cheese and they brought back Velveeta instead of crap.
You got great value. You had name brand. You got great value.
Right. Exactly.
Sorry. Although, but see, now that's another thing. I think you pointed this out on Blue Sky, and it was about what grade do you give this transfer window? Because if some of these are hits, your fullbacks are hits on mitigated success, and that's not something. I'll speak for myself. When I saw those names coming in, I was like, boy, that does not scream to me aspiration. These are signings. I mean, none of us can be experts about world soccer to the extent that we need to. When we bring in players, they're not players that you and I have seen and watched extensively. Typically, they're probably like, let's look this guy up on Wikipedia or transfer market. When we saw those names, I was like, well, I'm not excited by this. Particularly, Silvan Hefti hasn't played for 6 months. And once he got promoted, how great is this going to be? And then he comes in with 3 days practice, plays 90 minutes in a win against Philly, and then never stops playing.
But isn't that typical DC United though, where we're really happy with Hefti, but like we were kind of okay at right back. So it was like, great. So now Aaron Herrera, who is one of the better right backs in the league, is now playing right midfield because we brought in a right back. And I just sit here and scratch my head of, okay, well, why is that a good thing? Oh, because he puts good balls in the box. You just shipped out the best aerial presence that MLS has ever seen. So why are balls in the box something that you need to prioritize?
I agree. For sure. This is a schizophrenic roster build.
Yes.
Even now, even with with new insights and new personnel and new scouting and all the things that we have supposedly at our disposal now, it still does not feel like people in the know, people who subject themselves to this team on a regular basis could say, I know who they're going to target in the next window. I know what they need. It's obvious. This is what they'll do. So it is troubling from that perspective. And it is funny that our best signings happened in positions of not need.
And it's also interesting because you're right. And that's something that United has suffered from in the post Olsen era, where it's you give somebody the keys, they bring in 7 guys, none of them work out or one of them works out. Then you bring in somebody else and then they bring in 7 guys and then 3 of the guys from the last regime and then so on and so forth. What I will say about this roster is that Weiler, as much as we just been crapping all over him, he's gotten the best out of Peltola.
Yes.
I talk about Brandon Cervania lovingly, but it's really just because to me, Brandon Cervania should be a guy coming off the bench and he'd be perfect for that. But because of what the talent deficit on this team, he's a starter. But Brandon Cervania is playing well. Those 2 outside backs are playing well. Kai Rolls was kind of mid last year, and this year he's kind of good enough, which is fine. So, like, even the guys that he had last year or came in from the previous regime, he kind of is coaching up, which makes the disconnect of, okay, but then the guys you brought in aren't. But just like you said, the outside backs are doing well. So, like, I don't know. Like,
it's an incomplete. The grade is incomplete. I think but as you pointed out, and I think Ted enforced it too, is like, well, if you got good grades on all your homework, but then you took the exam and you got an F, what's your grade?
Right.
Like,
Great
you can't
point.
you can't miss on the most expensive player you've ever signed at a position of need and designated player role for DC United. Can't do it. Can't miss there.
And I don't understand. Like, obviously, something is going on with Lewis that is troubling, and not even from an outsider's point of view. Like, you just look and you go, "Wow, this guy's not playing any minutes. That's troubling." Then he plays against the League One side, and he is just on the field, and you're like, "That's troubling." Then he doesn't even suit up for the next match, injury, whatever. It pulls up, and so it almost feels like, man, this guy keeps getting injured right at an inopportune time. But really, it's just because I feel like Weiler's like, I can't expose this guy. But that's the troubling thing is that was your big guy. Like, I kind of feel like I'm going to say something that I have not skeeted yet. But it's a belief. It's a belief that I have. The doctor is in California. We all know that. And I'm sure we'll get to the LinkedIn Chronicles in a second. Dave Casper is still on the payroll. Ty Baribo is a Dave Casper-esque signing of hey, you know what we can do? We can bring in somebody in the league who maybe is either undervalued or underappreciated, and we can get the best out of them. We've seen that from the day Dave Casper walked in the door. So we can talk about how the hierarchy is Levian, the doctor, Weiler. Somewhere in that chain, Casper has somebody's ear and is still in the room. He's on staff, so I don't think that's like kind of like a crazy statement to make.
Definitely not.
My concern is how much in the room is he? And if the doctor is spending 12 months of the year in LA for just some fly-ins, then really somebody's going to make the decisions or at least be in the room with Weiler to make the decisions. And I think it's Casper. And so that's kind of scary is that, number one, the guy that everybody wanted out, including Levian, is now kind of worked his way back in. But Caden Clark, Lewis were Weiler things. To me, I'm going to give credit to Baribo to somebody else, not Weiler. So then it's like, okay, you hit on your defensive guys. You brought out your number 6. You've made him into a really good player. You've brought the left center back. You made him into a really good player. Then the question becomes, seems like you got the defense. You got your pulse on what we need defensively, but you have no idea what we need going the other way. And that's kind of manifesting itself with, and this is the skeet that I did because Jason Anderson asked Weiler the question, and he kind of busted his balls about why wasn't Pirani playing. Well, did you see the last performance? Well, then you don't need to ask me the question, to which I skeeted. I also saw the last 10 performances before that, and you still had no problems trotting him out there. So you keep trotting out Pirani. You have Lewis, but you can't play him. You have no idea who your right midfielder is game to game to game. Let's also be honest. Peglo has been fine, but should Peglo be like, I'm definitely starting every single game and I will probably go 90 because I'm Peglo? No, but yet there he is every single time. And then you bring up, well, Jackson Hopkins is my right midfielder. No, he's my 8. No, he's my second striker. Jacob Merle has just regressed into a hole since, I don't know, the beginning of last season. My point in all of this, and sorry for rambling, it doesn't feel like he has any pulse on what we need to do going forward to make this club even halfway dangerous, especially when Baribo's not on the field.
That was the criticism I thought it's really started to land on Weiler is that, okay, so you don't have the talent to play the way you want to play. All right. You've said that now 7 times. You've also not made any substantive changes to the players that you're putting out there, nor have you tried to coach up a younger player to be the type of player you're looking for, nor have you. You've just basically like threw your hands up and like, well, you know, you've seen this team. You see our number 10. Like, what do you want me to do? What do you want? Like, well, you could try when you've tried absolutely nothing. The best thing you can do is try something. That's always a certain route you could go. Putting Markovic in at a 6 was a good move. I think that's a good idea. He's played there as a sub. He's never started. I thought he played pretty well there in Philadelphia. I think getting Pirani off the field was good. I think it's funny that I think what did it was Pirani laughing on the field or stropping around after the game and not going over to see the fans and just sort of really wearing his disappointment on his sleeve, I think was the breaking point rather than his play on the field. He says, "Haven't you seen his play the last couple of games?" And that is like Jason's a better man than I, because I think the facial leakage from him saying that to me, I'd be like, "Buddy, have you read? Have you listened to anything anywhere? Like it has somehow been exclusively the domain of DC United coaches and Mackay, and to tell us that he is a better player than he is. Everyone, the national media has seen it, the fans have seen it. Everyone knows this is not the place and role for this player. Everyone knows it, and you're just now be like, oh well, I saw it. You guys,
no, you didn't see it because you saw him in the second half of last year, and you decided to keep rolling him out this year. You bring up a good question or a good point about the Union game, and I feel like we should at least touch on the latest match a little bit. And Markovic was. I hesitate to say that he was excellent in the role, but I will say that he was excellent in the role because it felt to me, tell me if I'm wrong, the game plan was, Nico, you just run around and be athletic and be last resort defending.
Destroy we got to.
Right. And so, like, okay, that worked. I would argue when Kevin Silvan came on, they got a lot more dangerous, but also at the end of the day, Philly's two strikers are not good. And you still were hanging on by the skin of your teeth with Markovic running around doing yeoman's work, cleaning up messes, putting out last-minute fires, which to me isn't the job of the six. It feels like it's the job of the two center backs, but whatever. I don't see, because here's what we're going to see next week or this week. You're going to see the same kind of defensive block with the four defenders and Markovic in front of them again. Yeah. I don't know how that works against every other team, or a team that he has even a halfway decent striker.
Yeah. Philadelphia is its own. I was curious how they would roll in, having beaten one of the only other garbage teams in MLS. Coming into this, would this be the beginning of a takeoff? It is not. Clearly, it is not. They are where they belong. We are where we belong. That was made evident. I think playing Red Bulls after an Open Cup flop, play him out 120 minutes, getting a lot of minutes on some of these players' legs who are for some reason unsubbable, and then some of those players playing again on the weekend. I think the hold on. New York Red Bulls not been great so far this year either, but I think that our strategy of let's just hold on for a point, and if we can sneak something on a set piece, that'll be our only chance to score. I think this is going to go back to a multi-goal defeat rather than a repeat of the Philly performance.
It'll be interesting. And here, two things about the Union. First of all, Bradley Cornell, shut your mouth. Like, you and I, John, can sit here and rag on DC United because we're in the trenches every day, and this is our club. It's like family. Don't make fun of my brother.
That's right. We can say it. You can't say it.
Like, don't say one team came to play. You guys didn't really come to play. So let's not act like you guys were playing beautiful football and this park the bus mentality is the only thing that stymies you. You guys were pretty god-awful as well. There were goals out there to be had for you, Philadelphia Union, and you didn't have the talent to get it. And the talent that you did have to get it, you decided to bench and only play for 25 minutes. So ease off, buddy. Just ease off.
What is your thinking why they're doing that? Why are they not? I was talking about this last week. You have this asset on your team from multiple. You have an asset from a public perspective, like right. These eyeballs. People are going to want to see him. B, he's gone soon. He's not here that much longer.
Right.
C, you can't score. Your two forwards can't do anything. Right. The best you've looked at any point in the season was in a Champions League for 60 minutes when he played. What is it? Are they protecting him? What's your read on why he's not playing? He should be playing. He should have played more than he did against us.
I think he sits in his office going, man, I really think Kevin Sullivan's great, but Indiana Vasiliev brings a lot to the table. And Ben Bender is really underrated. And unfortunately for Kevin, those guys are hardened MLS veterans who play the same position as you, kid. So be patient. I'm going to see if I can get you minutes somewhere. But these guys, there's a going back to Benny Ball, there's a certain grit that these guys bring that I really cannot live without. And so I need those guys on the pitch.
You're probably right.
But only one team came to play, Bradley. Only one team came to play.
Yeah. Who? Yeah. Boy. SKC also apparently tried to do a loan interseason loan, which I think is hilarious. That is a very funny kind of troll-esque move. Like two teams at the bottom of the table were like, you got this one guy, you're not playing. He's good. Can we have him? Like, no, he's going to sit on our bench.
Right.
That's what he's going to say.
But for us to bring it back to United, we're seeing it as well. How does Oscar Aviles knock it on the pitch against One Knoxville? We are in the same situation where you are screaming for wide players. This is a wide player. We are not going anywhere this year. Can we see what we have in him against a League One side? You don't have an MLS Next Pro team. This is MLS Next Pro adjacent. To me, they're the same level. This is a level that he should be playing at and could be playing at. If he had a team, he would be playing at that level. And instead, you do not play him at all. And it's just, for me, like, we don't have anything in the present, and we're not building anything towards the future. And we know Weiler's out the door at some point in the not too distant future, which back to the press conferences, it already feels to me like he's doing the whole, I couldn't do anything with this. I couldn't do anything with that team. I got to go. And if he's setting himself up, why would he resign? If I'm Weiler, I'm looking to get fired because then I get paid.
That's right. He's going to do the Ibrahimovic thing and be like, don't count my goals in MLS. I was just there on vacation. It's not real. He's going to say, this doesn't count towards my winning percentage. This is not a real league.
Exactly.
All right.
You ready?
I am ready. I want to talk about.
I know what you're bringing up. I don't even. Yes. We did no show rundown, but I know as soon as you stopped and said, all right, I knew where we were going. So you ready to go?
I am ready to go. All right. So once again, he's at it again, ladies and gentlemen. We have talked about the cesspool, the professional cesspool that is LinkedIn. It's a place I don't recommend you spend any more time than is absolutely necessary in your life. You're looking for a job. Okay, yeah, get on there. Throw your resume on there. Start. Go ahead.
Wouldn't even say that because
I mean that's like
I was somebody who had an aspiration to go. You know what? I've just been put out of work. I will use LinkedIn and work my network. Nobody on LinkedIn wants that. They want to do what you're about to go into. They just want everybody to know that life is great and that their business acumen is on a level that we can't even comprehend.
That's true. If there was a purpose,
that was
a purpose.
That was the original intent, but it's turned into something else.
It's turned into something much worse. And I think what we have, unfortunately, as a CSO of DC United is someone who has been fully infected by the brain virus that is hustle, grind set, LinkedIn posting. And we've talked about it since the beginning of the year. We talked about it when his post was about how he eats food with his hands, and that makes him a citizen of the world. He did have one very nice post about his mom that clearly was written by him and not AI. So I do kudos to you, man. You found your humanity and talking about your mom. So I appreciate that. But the latest post, dropped after the result in Philadelphia. And there's a couple problems. One, it was as empty and as vapid as all the other posts were basically just like, this isn't, by the way, we have a listener who has a fake Blue Sky account that, just like parodies all of his posts.
Oh, I
will share that so we can get more followers he's very good at it.
Yes.
But essentially saying, like, listen, it's not always about a result. Sometimes it's about, how you respond and effort is 100% of the journey of the shots you don't take. There's a statement about, it's not about the 3 stars. You don't get these 3 stars on your badge, for nothing, basically. And we're like,
hold on a second.
Let me just refer to both the jersey that I might be wearing and as visible anywhere, but also my recollection of history. I don't think he's got the number right there. I think he is confused. I think he doesn't know how many championships the team won, or I think he's looking at the DC flag, or he didn't write it at all. Maybe he just had ChatGPT or Claude take a rip at this. And what the result was is a post that got made fun of by everyone very quickly. I know that we have Douglas. Everyone knows Dougie was posting in response, has gotten blocked, had all of his comments deleted. He didn't. Nope, this is a positive vibe zone. We are not taking any negativity up here in this LinkedIn. Don't come to me with any information or facts. I am only looking for the businesses that I own's LinkedIn pages to respond to my posts and say, good job, doctor. 5 emojis, thumbs up, fire, 100%. There's not a lot to say other than, do you feel as bad about this as I do? And the fact that now it appears that what was our own personal shame has become a little bit of a national joke. How does that? Where do you land on this whole situation?
That sums it up. And if you, the Soccer Wise crew got into it today, and Doyle,
check that out for sure.
He basically gave you word for word. They ran it through basically an AI checker, and it came up 100% AI, like all of the hallmarks of an AI written post, which is how you end up with 3 stars on the badge and not know. Well, that's not how you end up with three stars on the badge. When you run it through AI, and maybe you've never seen a game. I don't know. Like, I just feel like he just looked at a picture on social media and was like, great crowd. Well, that wasn't a home game. Oh, I got to post. And so, look, I didn't think that there was a lower level of embarrassment that we could go through as DC United fans than the last few years. I didn't think that there was a more frustrating, and I'll say it again, embarrassing owner than the owner that we have. Montreal's making a run for it, but
yes, speed running.
I just feel like this is, I don't know how we can go lower. And yet we did this went lower, and you are the CSO of this team, and you don't live in the market. I have no idea how often you're in the market. I don't know if he's done press yet, but he's not available to the press. And it's not confirmed that you have seen a game. There is a Turkish documentary that I can 100% tell he hired a film crew to do a documentary,
of course,
on him. Did you see that, John?
No. Is this already released or to be released?
No, it's on YouTube. It's really well shot. And it's him in Audi Field. So I know at some point he's been in Audi Field, but it's definitely not game day. So I don't have any confirmation that he's been to a game. And now I also don't know if he's ever seen the jersey. And so
it's the new 6 fingers on a hand. It's 3 stars on a badge, I think is the.
Yeah, 3. That I love that. So we will definitely, both of us in the future, be skeeting whenever something happens. It's 3 stars on the badge. I just don't understand. I just can't get my head around that we can go lower than we were. And yet here we are going lower. So now I think to myself, we can't go lower, but I can't say that. I can't, because I don't know. I don't know.
I think we're really hurting our chances to get on Dolly DC. I think that's something we got to think about here. We should probably be very careful about how we talk about this. I think we might be shooting ourselves in the future foot.
In our defense, Dolly DC, I will ask you right now, because you know about my podcast, Pitch Pass. What will release more episodes this season? Pitch Pass or Dolly DC?
Well, I saw today they changed.
I don't know if you remember last year's. What was their video package? United
Behind the badge? No, that was
many incarnations ago. Whatever it was, I said, this looks really good. I look forward to them forgetting about it by midsummer. I think they did 8 episodes. And it was funny because they launched that the week after, they were on a 3-game losing streak. And I'm like, yes. Why are you launching it now?
They held as long as they could. I remember they had a whole bunch of stuff they shot preseason with the interviews in an Audi driving around.
Yes. Yeah. They kept releasing.
And then at the end, they just dumped them all. They're like, shit, no one's watching. Brennan Cervania, what is your favorite vegetable? Answer this question inside of this Audi Q5 as we drive around the stadium in a loop.
Just in a circle. Because we're paying Birn Baum to do something. Let's have him drive the current players around, because we can go right through underneath the easement. So we don't even have to really leave the actual stadium, because it's so wide because of the way we had to build it. So yeah, that's what they did. So yes, a question for the crowd: what will release more episodes? Dolly DC or Pitch Pass?
I'm going to leave that respond to wherever you see this, leave a comment and let us know what you think it is. I know that they have changed up the hosts this week. I haven't listened to it yet. I will be honest, I've not listened to all of the episodes all the way through. I'm glad the team is doing something. It's great. But I do know they've already changed up the host, so I don't know if that's a good sign or a bad sign for the number of podcasts or episodes they're going to do. I think maybe a bad sign.
I know the host, so I'm not going.
Is it new host? Not the new host. Channel 5 guy?
No. Well, did Little Bacon Bear host a couple episodes?
He was on it.
I'm not saying Little Bacon Bear's a girl, John.
She was on it.
So, was she the first guest? Or like, I feel like she hosted 2 episodes or something.
I don't know. I'm just showing my whole.
And I'll make my comment about Lil Bacon Bear because I like the new host, and I think the new host is a pro. Like he's a pro host, stadium entertainer. So this is nothing against him. You are bringing people in who have no idea what soccer is to host a show about a team that you literally should be holding the listener's hand through the process. Because even if I do know soccer, even if I do know Messi, there is a 0% chance that the level of host that you're bringing in, which is a appeal to masses host, that's not who you're talking to. And if you are considering you talking to the masses, then you need to treat them as if they don't know anything about the club, because guaranteed they don't know anything about the club. So to bring in somebody who is a good host but doesn't know anything about soccer, let alone DC United, I don't know what you're going for. Because only hardcores are going to be listening to it, and in the first 10 minutes they're going to go, "This person doesn't watch DC United."
They said the United right away, or whatever the tells are.
The MLS, right. Tradition. Like you start saying the words that they give you on the here are the notes. You know, right. We are the most storied franchise. Okay, click.
It's tough. I don't envy the team trying to figure out which way to go with that, because to your point, you have scared away. You've scared away almost everyone. Like you scared away a lot of people.
Right.
I think the avenue, you could go 2 ways. You can go, all right, well, we've done such damage to our brand in this market. We have lost all of the free media that we had before in all of the channels in the areas that we had. So we're going to have to basically, it's true. We need to go to the masses.
Hold on, John. You are forgetting one thing. They have not lost all the free media. Fox 5
shut up. No.
rerun every match the next day at 11 or 12 p.m.
That's true.
And so when I saw on Instagram them telling us that we need to watch DC United versus Philadelphia Union Sunday nights at 11 o'clock on Fox 5, I could not laugh hard enough. Because so I didn't want to watch it live. And also, I did watch it live. I wouldn't be telling people, you know what would be a great advertisement for our product? Watch this 0-0 match where we got 0 shots on goal and did not threaten the goal once. Go watch that and tell us how much you love us, and then listen to Dolly DC.
They need to do is market it in a correct way as a cure for insomnia, because it's a late night 11 o'clock 0-0 draw. Perfect. We're going to help you out. We're doing a public health. We're doing a service for our folks. If you can't fall asleep, if you've tried medicine, if you've tried melatonin and meditation, I suggest to you watch this game, and I am sure that before 1 a.m. you will be asleep for once in your life.
Perfect. I'm sorry, I derailed you. There's no more free media. Golf is not walking through that door to write up some kind of expose on whatever, to even give you negative press. Like, you're not getting any press right now.
He was apparently there at the last home. He was there at the Open Cup game, which is perfect.
Writing an article on the Open Cup. Because he's like, all right, I'll do this.
I guess this is closer. I could do that. But all that to say, like, I don't know how you position it. I feel like if all that are paying attention left are the dead enders who are listening to the show, hi everybody.
Yep.
Or are, disconnected former fans that have, faded away a little bit. I feel like that is still the people who you are more likely to get back with, like, a really focused, like the problem, like, be aware of your history, dig into that in a way that's not patronizing and not pat, but also, like, dig into, like, the second level of history. Like, everyone knows the cups, everyone knows the big players. Get to that second level, like the remember some guys level. That would excite me. Like, have Tino on there to talk about what's going on at Pipeline. He's actually probably too high up there. I would like there's a bunch of, like, Connor Doyle still playing in the USL.
Right.
Connor Doyle. Cool. I would listen to that.
Clyde Sims is literally opening up a spin franchise, Revved, which is his franchise because he was in New England and he's revered in New England, even though his best years were here in DC. But Clyde Sims is literally opening up a business 3 blocks away from your stadium. why don't you bring him in to talk about some of and they weren't glory days, but he was a beloved figure on the team when they were at RFK. And so you like tap into that and then let him plug his new business. Like this is easy, John.
I think it is. I think they bring me and you in as ideators here. They have the budget. They have the ability, the connections. They were to say, build us a show that would make people that hate us right now, hate us a little less. It won't cost a lot of money. Right. Here's what we do. I think you and I could probably at least construct the bones for that thing.
And really, like we just said, it's lean. Like, okay, we don't want to talk about the Philly match. Sure. Clyde Sims is on this week. Guess what? United Sickos dead enders are going to tune in because they remember Clyde Sims and they have fond memories of him. But unfortunately, in the storied 30-year history of this glorious club, only Steve Birnbaum, Marco Echeverri, Jaime Moreno, and it's not Ben Olsen. Only those three players have ever played for DC United. They're the only three, John, who have ever worn the colors of the black and red for DC United. And so because of that, we can't overexpose them. And since no one else has ever played for the team before, we can't have anybody else other than those three. And sometime in late August, when nobody's coming to the game, we will ask Jaime Moreno to come back again at halftime and wave again to acknowledge our past glory days. Eddie Pope lives in DC. He lives in DC. I'm sorry, he used to. He moved to Carolina now because I think he's doing something with Carolina Core.
The Core, right? The team we were supposed to be USL partners with at some point.
Jason Levian told us, I'm about to announce our partnership with an MLS Next Pro team, and it makes sense because it will be with Eddie Pope, who I guess we don't have a partnership with, and also never played for DC United because we can never have him in the building to get some cheap pop so that we can have applause at some point during an Audi Field game.
And by the way, you touched on it. It drives me crazy every time. What is the time that you're most likely to have empty seats?
Halftime
in the stadium. Is it halftime? Is it when everyone goes to pee and gets their food? Let's bring out the high leverage feel good moment right then, so that the pop is nobody and he's just waving at the empty stands in the suites, or the suites people have gone back into the inside during halftime.
Are we still planting a flag
ad nauseum?
John?
We can talk forever about the mistakes this club makes, but these are mistakes of lack of knowledge and lack of care about your lack of knowledge. And I do think that's the stuff that's fixable. There's so many things that aren't fixable. There are so many things that could be fixable by hiring
like people an easy fix of, and I've said this, I talked about planting the flag. Plant the flag in front of the supporters group and let the flag fly in front of the supporters group for the entire game, rather than walking 3 steps past the stairway, having somebody plant a flag and then immediately taking the flag and going back behind the thing.
Like symbolism too heavy there.
Exactly. So get Eddie Pope to come out, wave the flag in front of the supporters 30 seconds before kickoff, plant that freaking flag, get the crowd pumped up, get your supporters pumped up, and now we're ready to go. Nope, we're going to do it at halftime, and we're not even going to do it in the first 5 minutes of halftime. We're going to do it like 10 minutes in when literally nobody is there. And so they can, and also we're going to do it in front of the club seats that nobody's in at any point in the match. When they come out and they are being honored in front of red seats as far as the eye can see, instead of someplace where people will actually applaud them. Why do that?
It's very frustrating.
It's all indicative, John, of what's going on the field. So even though it does sound like we're ranting and raving, this is all indicative of half measures off the field, which translates directly into half measures on the field. We're going to put a lot of money into the team this offseason. We're not going to do what the owner said and fill all 3 DP slots for some reason. So we're going to put money into the team. We're going to bring a record-breaking striker in, but we're not going to go the next step of now we're going to bring in somebody to create chances for this record-breaking signing. We're not going to bring in somebody to create chances for this poacher, this fox in the box who just scores goals in the box, but we're never going to have him be on the ball in the box because no one can get him the ball in the box. So now he's dropping back to midfield to create because he's the best creator on the team, because we decided we were going to go 2/3 of the way. And then we got there and we're like, nah, we're going to head back. This is the team. We're good.
It's the analogy of, it's the same thing as the flag thing. It's like very much like we've got this good idea, but we're unable to conceptualize how it fits in the broader scheme of things.
Can't close
We're going to do it halfway. We can't close the deal.
Can't close it.
It is, it's frustrating. I think we're entitled to it, having had to talk about this team as much and as frequently as much. One other, I'm going to hit on your hobby horse too, real quick. Who is the current academy director of DC United, and what's going on there? The one last year, this one or the one before it? I remember you had an interview with the academy director, and it was one of the more awkward. What was his name?
Oh, Pat Okama.
Yeah, I felt the discomfort during that going on. It wasn't from your end. I felt like you were asking pretty legitimate questions, and he did not seem to feel comfortable with them.
Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, I thought that Pat was trying to carry a little water for the club. This is the thing. Like, when I make fun of DC United, and I want to be clear about this, when I make fun of DC United, it is not about anybody who works in the organization except for the doctor.
All right, he's the one.
Now,
he earns it.
He earns it, and Weiler, and especially the owner. But for every person who is rolling up their sleeves and trying to make this club respectable and running into no answer on a question, like, somebody has definitely said, we need to do something with our podcast. And it was, yeah, I agree. But then there's no follow up with whoever their superior is. So, like, to me, whenever I talk to somebody within the organization, I always have this bit of sympathy of like, man, you're working your ass off, but it's just not like you're running into a wall. And I felt like that's what Pat was doing in that conversation. And you might recognize him, John, because he coached the first team for a few matches. Kevin Flanagan he's still here. He's still here. He's the academy director. And I
assume since he was brought in under the previous regime, they would have transitioned. I'm glad that that's not the case. Well, continuity is good.
Yeah, I mean, but who's evaluating him? The doctor is in Orange County having AI compose LinkedIn posts for him. So I don't know how granular he's getting with the academy. He doesn't know there's 4 stars on the first team's badge. So I don't know how he might not know.
He's under the wire. He's just don't have a big expense report, and you can just keep rolling.
So he is the academy. He is the current academy director for DC United. And I will tell you, John, like, you alluded to this being my thing. I'm heavily invested in youth. I'm an Ajax fan, and it's grow your guys, put them in the shop window, let them play for your club for 2 to 3 years, sell them for $10 million plus. And that's how I grew to love the game. And we live in Washington, D.C., one of the most talent-rich areas in the country. And it should be as easy as there should be 3 homegrown players in the starting lineup every week, and there should be 5 in the team every week. And it's not that hard to do. And it's not like you've got some sort of, like, the Philly thing is frustrating if I'm a Philly fan, but at least you could say, well, we're trying to win a championship. We don't have time to blood in. We don't make the playoffs. We win wooden spoons. There's really no reason to not play young players. And we talk about getting people excited. Guess what? A kid from Woodbridge, Virginia is going to get Woodbridge excited to come see a DC United game. A kid from Upper Marlboro, Maryland, in the team is going to get people excited to watch DC. Much more excited than they are to watch Brandon Cervania play again. Again, I know there's a lot of Brandon Cervania hate coming from me. It's not that. It's just we can do better, and we should do better.
It's the time I showed the Brandon Cervania card that I have
Brandon
always.
Cervania FC Dallas card.
I do. Team spirit.
I love the guy.
I don't know why he's on the. Yeah, I don't have any problem with him. It's fine. He's not the problem. To your point, Fredericksburg's own Jackson Hopkins, the only time Freelance Star has ever written a DC United article is to talk about Jackson Hopkins. So
exactly. And
I'm in the bag for him.
And the marketing campaign this winter, because I was like, well, I don't know who they're going to market because Benteke was in every piece and now he's gone. And they leaned into Jackson Hopkins, and they should, because he's a homegrown. But I will tell you, Red Bulls are playing a kid born in 2009. We are playing a kid born in 2009. We are selling our youth. Jackson Hopkins was born in 2004. He's not old. I'm not saying he's old, but I'm saying, relatively speaking, we are not leaning into our youth. We are not leaning into our youth. And so I like that they're spotlighting Hopkins. I want them to play Gavin Turner more.
Yeah.
But, like, these are, again, our half measures. We play youth. Yeah, in 04.
Yeah. Turner is, I think
he's
we're getting the 15-minute chunk. I think he's building his way into being a more rotational player. So that's good. That could have happened last year.
Well, you know what's funny? It seems like he was on the same plan as Lewis, and yet now Lewis is being scaled back and Turner is being scaled up, where it's, you know what, new guy to the league. Yes, he's a DP, but it's going to take him a while to get acclimated. You're going to see him for 20 minutes. You'll see him for 30 minutes. You'll see him for 60 minutes. Now I feel like that's what Gavin Turner is being ramped up to do as well.
True.
Because you know what? He's lively.
You made a good point. We're going back to Lewis for 1 second, because I just thought that I had always viewed Weiler's reticence to play him and his qualifiers in the preseason and the early season. Like, listen, he's going to need a lot of time. You got to have patience with him. Blah 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 blah. I was at first viewing that as him protecting the player.
Right.
But now, after you sort of spotlight, like, he went to Romania, he was the one that, I think he's protecting himself. I think he's watching training, and he's watching these 15-minute cameos, and he's watching the 60 minutes against One Knoxville, and he's like, I may have made a mistake. and if he doesn't play, it's less obvious. So we're going to give Gavin Turner more minutes. I think that's my new thesis on.
I like Gavin Turner. Look, I want Lewis to work out. And there is always a ramp up time for a player in the league. This is me making excuses because I'm also very nervous, and it's scary because, like, I'm glad you circled back to Lewis, because I don't know how much longer we're going to be talking about him.
Yeah.
And
say more. What do you think the next 6 weeks hold for him?
I mean, can you see a scenario where post World Cup, homesick, just couldn't get acclimated to the American lifestyle, either travel was hard. And so, we thought it was best for him to go and whatever. And I don't know what the whatever is, because I can guarantee you he's not going to make the money that he's making here back in the Romanian league. And he's not he's not like putting zeros on his price tag for a club outside of Romania. So I'm not sure how you do offload him, but I can see a scenario where the homesick card comes into play, and Lewis goes out with a whimper before the end of this season.
Man, that would make Edison Flores look like quite a catch. If that is the run, I
thought you were going to say that it was going to make Weiler look bad. But my immediate thought was, I don't think Weiler's going to be here when Lewis goes out.
Listen, the 2-year circle has been something that's been on my mind since he signed, and it's trending that direction already. It's getting late early on that front.
Can I ask you about Orlando before we get out of here?
Yeah, please. We have that, and we got a bunch of questions to run through real fast.
Okay, so the Orlando thing, it's going to be interesting because Orlando has attacking qualities. They can't defend. DC United can defend.
Bizarro. We're the yin yang. We should combine teams.
So I'm wondering, it's going to be very interesting, and I don't say this about DC United matches very often, but it's going to be very interesting. Two crappy teams that their strength goes against strength and their weakness goes against weakness. Who will prevail in this battle of titans between
not the
Orlando
viewer?
and
Typically, I think is the answer.
Well, we could see a 5-5 something. Like, we could see something crazy because Baribo can score. Like, he doesn't need a lot of. And I feel like Orlando's attackers can also score.
Do you think Baribo's getting? Do you think he thinks he made the right decision? I mean, he looks at his bank account and he does. But do you think
I have thought about that, and I think right now he thinks he made the right decision. Bank account 1. And team built around him, number 2. Team wasn't built around him in Philly. He was thought of as a product of the system. So, I think he feels good because he's respected, and he's obviously getting paid as such. So I think Baribo's fine now.
Yeah, I think, circle back in a year or two.
Correct.
I think you're right.
Correct.
You're right.
Okay, so what do you got?
We've got a lot of good questions here from the Patreon. So Steve Jordan said, some of these are going to be circling back to where we were, but I want to make sure we air these out. Steve says, what are your thoughts on who deserves more time on the field given DC United's exit from the Open Cup tournament, followed by a 0-0 draw versus Philly, another basement dweller? Has it been enough of the lackluster showings with the current set of starters for fans to expect to see some more adventurous lineup changes? And is that a recipe that you think will help build for better success? Gavin Turner, I think we sort of talked about that. I think there is when you get the same result, the only option is, and you're not, and there's no one coming in the door for another window. So there's not like there's 5 players that are rehabbing that are going to come on and change things. So you got who you got, the players well. I think Gavin Turner will begin to get more minutes. I think Luis is probably going to head into 3 to 6 weeks of witness protection, rehabbing his whatever is this discomfort. I think is what they said. He left. He was feeling something, so they held him out. I think Markovic is going to get more time, either in center back or in the midfield. Who do you think is there another player that needs to get more time? Maybe Caden Clark.
I was just going to say you gotta find out what you have in Caden Clark, and it's not going to be in 30-minute bursts at the end of games. And yeah, to me that's the thing. And when you first started reading his question, my first reaction was, yeah, it's not like there's somebody on the bench that is like waiting to be unleashed.
Jared Stroud needs more time. You must get Jared Stroud in the field.
Exactly. And so, and that's, that really became apparent to me during the One Knoxville match, because Gavin Turner is that guy where I'm like, at least he's going to come out here and like run around and try to create and do some stuff. Mm-hmm. But he started. So it was like, hey, we're chasing a goal, and Jared Stroud and Brandon Cervania are who you're bringing off the bench. That's not a slight about Brandon Cervania, but like, we need a goal. We don't need D mids and guys who had one good season now going on 3 years ago. That's why the Oscar Aviles thing really bothered me, because it was like, Jared Stroud or Oscar Aviles, you're putting them in at the same position. Why are you choosing him over the kid? Why are you doing that? So, but I wouldn't even say Oscar now moving forward, because I wouldn't want him in an MLS match, a league match at this point, because he is so young. That's why that was the time, and they didn't do it. So yeah, more Gavin, more Nikola, more Caden. And I don't know how high you are on Caden. I'm mid on Caden, but I'm also like, he's not young. I mean, he's not old. And you saw him play in one match and bought him. Why is it that he can't be the locked in starter? Again, you saw Caden Clark, you immediately bought him. You saw Lewis and you immediately bought him, and you don't want to play these two guys. That makes me nervous as a Renée Weiler observer. So there's not much on the bench, but those are the guys that I'd like to see, those 3.
Caden Clark, I wish for like a small sicko fee of like $19.99 a year, fans that are like us could watch training from like the all 22 cam, because I suspect that Caden Clark trains like a dog. To have the career that he has had and move through the clubs that he has had, I feel like, because when you see him play on the field, he looks immediately competent. He looks immediately fine for the level. He doesn't typically show up, head and shoulders above the competition, but he looks like he belongs out there.
Correct.
So I don't know why I defer in some ways to like, well, we can't see this thing, so obviously there must be logic happening behind this closed curtain.
That's what we want to believe.
We want to believe it. So I wish if I could get that dispelled, if I could watch it. I'm not, we're not professional coaches. We can't tell for sure. But if we look at it like, it looks like how he plays. So I don't know has he insulted you in some other way? Is he laughing too much at training? What's the deal? Aiden K says, not familiar with Philly's lineup nowadays and wasn't watching closely. Was this closer to a full strength squad than what way they've tried, what they've had this season? Or was this just a flat performance offensively against a subpar team? Well, ask Philly's coach, and he'll tell you.
They came to play. They're the only ones.
The only ones who did.
They were the only ones. This is a full strength lineup.
Which is hard, I think, for people who weren't following the dissolution of their roster in the offseason and Kai Wagner going away. They're like, wait, what? I thought this team was really good. What happened?
Right. And what happened was they sold a lot of their guys and didn't replace them, and aren't going to the academy to backfill. And the guys, like, those are their first choice strikers. Ilovsky is their first. He should be a striker, but he's their first choice midfielder. We talked about Vasiliev. He is who Bradley Carnell starts, for better or for worse, over Gavin Sullivan. Their outside backs were like, this was, I don't want to say like this was the strongest lineup they could ever put out, but this was a first choice lineup for sure.
Yep. Yeah, and that's what you saw. I don't think it was. I think they are a mess. I think the Eastern Conference has such a collection of dumpster fires that's so unusual for me to
very much
see, but it is the case.
Yep.
Stephen Cladd says, after Renée's post-match interview where he openly bashed Pirani's current form, do you think he ever sees the field again this season? Again, yes, he'll see the field again, probably, at some point. Furthermore, he seems...
Okay, so I'm sorry, go ahead.
Furthermore, he seems to openly mention new signings to come in during the upcoming transfer window. Does this give you some hope? Also, for a bit of fun, what's the most unhinged LinkedIn post by Dr. Sogat made this week? I feel like this has legs to be a weekly segment. We've hit that for sure. I think this could be a weekly segment.
No, and that one is the most unhinged. An AI-written thing, not knowing how many championships the club that you are in charge of has.
That's the one.
I think that, do you think Pirani is on the team sheet against Orlando?
In the 18, yeah.
Definitely doesn't start. But do you think it was message given? You don't even get on the bus to Philly. So now,
I think he wants to see a good hard week of training. I think he wants to see that the message did not bounce off his head and bounce away, and now he doesn't care. I think he wants to see him fight for an opportunity. If he sees that, he'll get a substitute appearance to prove that he is here. He knows what he wants him to do, and he's going to do it. If he doesn't have a good week in training, then he probably will be off the 18, and Oscar Avalos takes his spot and also doesn't play any minutes. That's how I think it goes. What do you think?
Can I say one thing for Pirani? I just saw it on Instagram today. He does have a 4-month-old. And if you've ever had a 4-month-old, it's very disruptive. Now, I'll take all that back by saying he's not playing any better or worse than he has the last 4 years on this.
It's not like a year ago
he was awesome, but now he can't get to sleep.
He had this like 3-week window where he scored 4 goals, and I had to buy a Pirani jersey because I had slagged him so much like that I had promised. So I owned one for a while, and I sold it for $30 in the offseason to somebody. Sorry, whoever bought it on eBay. But yeah, it's not like that is the.
He does it every year, and I skied it on Blue Sky. Let's remember, this is Pirani in September when he goes off and scores like 4 goals in 7 matches in his 20-minute cameos off the bench, and everybody tries to sell themselves, including the club, on Gabriel Pirani.
He's
for
a superstar, baby. That's what he is. He's
right. That's the only. By the way, that's not what he is. But that's the only role. That's the only role that he has been even marginally successful at is as a super sub. So why don't you just bite the bullet and go? 20 minutes, need a goal. Pirani, be a super sub.
Trust you to do it. Yeah, do what you can do.
I don't trust him to do it.
I mean, you got to give him something. You got to give him something as a young player. You can't be like, listen, your career is over. You are now a 20-minute player, and I don't trust you. Good luck. Go do it. You got to be like, hey, this is your avenue. This is your way. You're going to get a transfer.
This is you. Maybe we'll accept the 3rd offer from Malmo for you because we couldn't do the first 2. They weren't high enough. But this is what's going to get it for the 3rd offer. So yes. That's so you say he makes the game day roster for.
I do. I think he's got. I think unless this is actually a really great window into Weiler. I think, but like he has now made it very clear how his feelings are, and unless he is just a jerk, you usually say these things to elicit a response because he is still your player, and you are stuck with, and your job is to make the best of your assets, not. Send them into Siberia. Like this is in Chelsea. You're not sending him to the bomb squad. There's no other place to send him to practice. He's on your team. That's not going to change. You got to see if you can get anything out of him.
I agree with everything you said, but I will also ask, has Weiler done anything to make you think that he isn't a jerk who would just do it because he doesn't really care?
That's possible. I mean, that's what I'm saying. We'll know after this. We won't know because we didn't see training, but we can have a suspicion.
And here's the other thing too, as I know you want to move on to the next one. This is where I want to see a goal from Pirani is against a crappy Orlando defense with you coming off the bench. You're going to get probably the 70th minute. You're going to come on against a bad defense who is now tired.
Double bad.
If you can't goal, assist, chance create in that 20-minute window, we got a big problem.
Can you imagine the celebration he's going to do in front of Weiler if he scores that goal? I can't. Must see TV.
Yeah, that's what it is. I'm there for it. That'll
be. You were asking if it's going to be a good watch. That is the way in which it will be a good watch.
100%.
Unless the doctor flies in and does like a TikTok dance on the sideline after they score. That's he's like going into different channels. He's like, I've done LinkedIn. I need to grow my following on TikTok. Matthew says, can either of you remember a season being done and dusted this early before?
The season's not done and dusted,
It's
Matthew.
not.
We are in a playoff spot. If the playoffs started today, DC United would be in it. The season is not done and dusted.
Not even close.
Not
It's
even
wild.
close. Not
There
even
are
close.
too many teams that cannot find the light switch at all to even. They haven't started. They're still in the starting blocks. So
that's the thing. Like, I also like MLS, like as a league. This Apple window, I can understand why people will go, this season's over, because you can't watch any of the other Eastern Conference teams because everybody plays at 7:30. And if you choose to watch DC United, sorry, but also you miss all the other teams. If you go down the list, Montreal is not good. New England is, would you say not good or inconsistent?
I would say probably not good.
Orlando.
They're not as Atlanta, like you said.
Orlando, Atlanta, not good, not good. Columbus, not great. Columbus is not you were worried about the Union, who also are not good. If you were surprised to see them this week look as bad as they did, go check out a Columbus Crew game. They are not even close to what they were 7 months ago. So we just rattled off 7 clubs, and I barely broke a sweat. Toronto is not good. These teams are all in the Eastern Conference, and none of them are really that good. So DC is not out of it. This year is not done and dusted.
It's a struggle because you listen to the coach basically saying we can't score goals. These players aren't good. So you hear that, you log that, and you say, okay, that's where we're at. But we just talked about how bad all these other teams are.
Yep.
The Eastern Conference is a joke.
Yep.
MLS is long. Parity is real. We have another window here.
Yep.
We are able to be in this position without being able to score any goals.
Yep.
So that there is something to that. Now it depends. When you entered this season and you saw Luis come here and you read all the press about it being the biggest spend and we're back. If you heard that and said, I think we're going to play really exciting soccer, and I think we're going to be in the like 2, 3, 4 spots, not the 7, 8, 9 spots.
You read
that was your expectation.
You read the doctor's LinkedIn posts, which can't help but get you excited. I see. Right. I know. Yeah.
So if you were that guy, then the season's over for you because that's not where they're going to be. It is entirely, I don't want to say likely, but it is entirely reasonable and possible to see this team make the playoffs.
Yes.
In this year.
How many teams did I read off 7.
We're like right there. We're in the middle now.
And I didn't even bring up Red Bulls, who aren't a bad team, but have lost to Montreal twice. And Montreal is god awful. And they've beaten the New York Red Bulls twice. So like it's all to play for. Sadly,
it's such a weird. This is the weird. The frustrating thing too is if they were able. I mean, I don't think that there's an off season that they could have had in their salary cap situation, being in the wooden spoon position, no longer having the you suck money of MLS 2.0 to help you get a lot better. That they could have magically jumped into that 2, 3, 4 spot somehow. But this is the worst year. This is the best year for them to have been able to be a marginally improved team, like offensively. You would have seen you would have been in the 5, 6, 7 conversation, 4, 5, 6, just because of how bad everything else went. Everyone else is going to improve too, I think, to some degree. The cream rises to the top. The team that has infinite money in Atlanta can only be so bad for so long. He keeps telling himself, but it just seems like this if they could have figured out a way to be more transformative in this window, if Luis could have hit the ground running,
that's it.
We're kind of there. We're talking.
Right. If you had hit on Luis and you had filled the third DP slot that you said you were going to do with a chance creator, you're top 4 in the Eastern Conference. Right now. Right now you are. And I never thought of it that way. And the way you framed it is perfect because it was like, yeah, it was there. And yes, a playoff spot is definitely still there, but like it was there to do one of those 2 window turnarounds where it's, wait a second, is United good? Well, not good, but everybody else is not good at all. And you've got your 3 DPs are firing all cylinders and you lock down your defense with your signings and your elevating and development of other players. It was there. And what I will add to your comment is it's also sad that it was there, except for you missed on Luis and you did not bring a chance creator in. 2 moves. You were 2 moves away from really saying there's a Miami, there's a Nashville, maybe NYC, But like now you're talking like we're in NYC.
Second tier.
Zone.
Yep. Second tier on the Eastern Conference.
Yeah. You're just behind You're not just behind, but you're behind Nashville and Miami, but you're grinding around with NYC and clubs like that instead of Orlando and clubs like that. And it was 2 moves, John, one of which you made and missed, and one you just said, I'm not even going to make the move.
Right. I will say this for a bit of optimism here. Stranger things have happened than a player who came in and looked lost than to find himself at some point in the season. It is possible. He could go home, or stranger things could happen. And if he does, if he's able to be a either a chance creator or a second source of scoring besides Baribo, and this Eastern Conference is bad, it stays as bad as it is, it's there. The defense is for barring the FC Dallas collapse.
Right.
It is there. It is
defense
to be built upon.
The defense works. And the other thing, if you're hanging on a dream for Lewis, you've got a nice big break for World Cup where everything can be reset. He can get reps in and assimilate even more into the United structure, acclimate to the country. Mm-hmm. It's not like usually you got to learn on the fly. He's not going to have to learn on the fly, because when June hits, he's going to have 5 weeks where he can go, okay, let me get my S together here. If you're hanging on something for Lewis, that's something that you can think about. I don't think it's going to happen before then. I don't see him making the league pre-World Cup break, because it just looks like he's out of sorts, and Weiler doesn't trust him, and the team doesn't know how to play with him.
Brandon says, do you take any issue with Renée calling out certain players in interviews? Seems to go both ways. He gave Hopkins praise after playing a better match. I think that's a good point about Hopkins. Can we call Luis a disappointment if his absences have been injury-based? Bad luck, but hardly fair to call him a bust after 8 games. I'll take the first one. You can take the second one.
Okay.
I do think it is good that Jackson Hopkins got praise after being pretty kind of out of the blue called out, and because it's not something he had done before, and it wasn't the real problem of the match. But all of a sudden, calling Jackson Hopkins like a not serious player and not
that was weird.
It was weird. It was like, what the? All right, okay. The fact that he turned it around and had a good performance and got praise, even though the praise was given at the same time as like, well, unlike Pirani, Jackson Hopkins, which I think was funny. It's the greatest way to give a compliment is to put somebody else down while you're doing it. I think that is good. I think that's why I'm optimistic that if Pirani can find a way to contribute in some fashion, which we think is a limited cameo role at the end in a targeted situation rather than being asked to carry the load from the start, if he's able to do that, I can see Weiler coming out and being like, I put a lot of pressure on this player, and fairness. He did what I asked him to do, and here we have a goal, we have a result, and I want to see that every week out of him going forward. That's possible. I feel like it'd be possible.
Yeah, and I agree with that, and I'll take it one step further. So he called out Pirani. He also called out Hopkins on the bounce back, and he pulled Gavin Turner at halftime of the One Knoxville game, and he went out of his way to say Gavin Turner was doing a good job. I just pulled them at halftime. So it's not like he's just all crap on. I think, if he sees the effort or he sees something he likes, he goes both ways. So I don't think it's just this guy just craps on everybody, which should even point out further how much he didn't like what's going on with Pirani.
Didn't we hear today on SoccerWise that there's scuttlebutt inside the locker room?
Everybody hates him,
which is funny because I'll say this too. The rap on DC United from Olsen through Rooney, I don't know about maybe not so much last year, is that locker room does not leak. Things aren't aired as much. I mean, Pablo was there, but you were not hearing anecdotes from inside the room about how much this sucks or that sucks. You had Pablo had great sourcing within team administration about how things were messed up,
but not in the locker room. Right,
the locker room did not leak. And I think it's single source. We'll see. It's good. It's someone who knows what he's talking about very typically, but it'll be interesting to see if that continues. Both if the coaching, if the call outs continue, it'll be interesting to see if this picks up a little more steam because player power can do things. If you're a Chelsea fan, you certainly know that.
Agreed. So the second part is the
second part is it fair to call Lewis a disappointment if absences have been injury based? We question that they've all been injury based, strictly speaking.
I was in the corner of Lewis and in the corner of how Weiler was handling him, because it did feel like he was slow playing him, and then he got injured, and I gave that all the benefit of the doubt and said, yeah, okay, that tracks, kind of like to what the question is. Okay, new to the league, bleeding him in slowly. You got Baribo, so you don't need him to hit the ground running, so you can kind of work him in. And it was building, like it was 15 minutes. It was not playing. It was 15 minutes. It was like 25 minutes in the Inter-Miami game. By the way, he wasn't bad in the Inter-Miami game.
Nope.
And then the injury comes up, and you're like, oh, just as he was getting up to speed, he has a setback. And then now he's got to work his fitness back up, because apparently he didn't do anything on the international break other than heal up. I was saying that publicly. That One Knoxville game scares the crap out of me. It scares the crap out of me. You are a $7 million signing. You are a Romanian international. And I don't care what you think about Romania as an international country. You're playing UEFA international games that matter. Nations League, Euros, whatever, qualifiers. He looked like a guy just on the field against the League One team. That scares the crap out of me, because it should be like, and this is horrible to do, but like when Wayne Rooney played, you knew, oh, that's the cut above everybody else. And I'm not saying he needs to be Wayne Rooney, but you kind of got to be Wayne Rooney light against a USL League One team. And he was a player on the field.
I would say you could contrast that Open Cup performance against another European import of DC United's lore, Montenegrin international Branko Boskovic.
You're going to go Branko Boskovic. Go ahead.
I believe had a hat trick in one Open Cup game.
Right.
And he may have been smoking darts at halftime, like leaning up against the goalpost. Probably was
at the Maryland Soccerplex. He probably
him and Salihi just those are the good. Those are the good
you know
days.
What?
But
when Boskovic was injured a lot of the time, but when Boskovic was healthy in MLS games, you saw quality
instantly. And
that's
to your point. And to your point too, like it wasn't necessarily about how he fit into the club. It wasn't necessarily about was he the right. It was like individually technical talent. You could immediately tell, like, yeah. Well, that's why he was at PSG. He's got that something special.
Exactly. And that's a great point. He doesn't need to be scoring goals, and I'm not asking him to take over games, but it's like bringing a ball down from the air. Oh, you know what? That's a level above. Oh, he saw a pass that nobody else in the field is seeing, and it was just a simple connection, but he saw it and he connected it on the right foot so the player could turn upfield. That's what I'm saying. I didn't expect him to go out and score 7 goals. That's not what I'm saying. So thank you for letting me clarify that. I wanted to go, there is a Romanian international $7 million signing, and that's what you see with that. And it felt to me, tell me if I'm wrong, John, it felt to me that in the first 15 minutes of the game, One Knoxville as a whole was like, crap, these guys are like MLS players, and we're League One players, and this is going to be an ass whipping. And after 15 minutes, they all went collectively as a team, okay, this is just a soccer game against guys that I probably am just as good at, Lewis included. And I felt like by the time they pulled Lewis off, I feel like the center backs were like, no, keep him on. Keep him on.
Yeah. They were looking at that roster and be like, some of these guys, if but for some small turns of fate, could be teammates with me or be playing with me down here.
Right. I said it in Blue Sky, because everybody was like, got to give One Knoxville credit. They're a much better team.
That was Ted, the USL apologist. That was him on the
my response to Ted, because I think it was, I reskeeted from your account, the RFK Refugees account, and I said, okay, so One Knoxville is a League One team that's probably championship quality, which is great because DC United is an MLS team that's probably championship quality. So really, it's not. That's why when people were going crazy about cup set, I'm like, is it? Right. It was two teams that are not far apart in the level, playing each other, and one team won in PKs.
But for the single entity structure, it would very likely that they would be playing inside the same league within a year or two.
Correct.
Most likely.
But Lewis makes 15 times what the entire roster does combined. And that's that's why, to answer the question in a long roundabout way, that's what makes me nervous, not how he's being brought into the side.
Yeah. We'll do these in rapid fire here.
Yeah,
Timothy Park says, thinking that Pirani can still contribute as a farce. Timothy, if you have been watching this team for 4 years, there is a thing. It's called the Pirani Summer, the Pirani Fall.
Yeah, something. Yeah.
He will do a thing where it will get very annoying because I will be talking bad about him for 4 months, and then he'll do this thing, and everyone will be like, "See, you're wrong. See how good of a player he is. He just needs more opportunities." So he'll be doing some of that. That will come. It comes every year. Like
there will be a game where he top bins left foot and top bins right foot in the same game, and you'll go, "What?
Who's this guy?" Perkin Warbeck says, "Are we made to suffer, or did we seek it out?" That's more of a philosophical question. I think it's the former, but it's tough to say. This is an interesting one about Renée called out. This is Bear Witness says, Renée called out a lack of fighting spirit, and this is the lineup without Pirani. Which players do we think? No, that's not the question I wanted to read. I wanted to see. The VA Wanderer says, there's no clear answer, but the team did unite. Did the team unite and play as a unit because of Renée or against Renée? I don't think this was like a major league situation where there was like a cardboard cutout that they were throwing darts at in the locker room after the game. I think maybe. What do you think?
I kind of don't think either. Look, this isn't even Lewis and even Baribo. The guys on this team can't afford to just quit on a coach or a team. Kai Rolls, Lucas Bartlett can't go, you know what? I'm quitting. And then you're going to put me on a good team where none of the guys on this team have a lot of outs. So I don't think Weiler factors into whether or not they play hard or not. I think that they're playing to make sure that they continue to be professional soccer players.
Bartlett, in fact, according to rumor, tried that in the offseason, was like, unsettled agent talking to other teams. They're like, shut up, dude. You're under contract. We just gave you a raise. Be quiet. Just keep working. Well, I think we got to all the ones that we haven't actually got to already. So I think, we are in us. I enjoyed having you on. I think we are in a similar headspace about the things that ail this team, the things that could be better, and also to I would say it's cautious. It's not cautious optimism, but it's realism about how bad and weird MLS is this year, that it warrants staying somewhat engaged with the team this year because things are possible. Things are possible, not through our own steam necessarily, but because of the environment. Where certainly don't give up, don't go away. The summer window theoretically should bring some excitement, one hopes, maybe. If for nothing else, I think for nothing else, I have complained about this team being bad and boring when they're bad. I think that there are some weird tense drama that has been created because of the weird CSO we have, because of our Swiss coach that is venting his spleen in a public way that no other manager has ever done before.
Our ADHD manager, or our the owner who thinks that 12,000 people will come to Baltimore to watch an MLS Next Pro team play. Yeah.
Thank you, Maryland legislature, for A, not passing the bill that I had in front of you. That was real nice of you. But B, more importantly, not giving DC United money out of the budget. I think that's also important to talk about.
You said it. It'd be easy to quit on this team, but I will. And again, I have nothing against the players, and I have nothing against the people who work in the staff. So, I still want to root for the players to do well, and it would be easy to go, we suck again, and then punt. Thinking Pirani can contribute is a farce. You are right, but this season, and should be the takeaway from our hour and a half of conversation, this season is not done and dusted. This team is in a playoff spot as we speak. This team is playing a team that is below them on the table this week. This is not a team that is out of it or playing us through the cycle. There is all to play for. And if you are a fan of soccer, or if you have a team that you support, that's what you want, is to have a team where there is something to play for. And it doesn't feel like it because it feels like everything is going wrong, but there is still a lot to play for. It would not shock me if DC had a home game in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Because that is still on the table. So that's my takeaway. And it's crazy to think about it, but it's true.
You may not like it, but this is peak male performance. This is peak Eastern Conference performance. This is we're in it, baby. This is still happening, whether or not you think it should be or not. It is. Gregory, I appreciate you joining. Like you said, 90 minutes of group therapy.
This is great
good stuff. Remind everybody again, when you don't know when the next one will come out, but where do they find the next one when you've got when you've hit by the podcast button?
The podcast is called Pitch Pass. It's available wherever you get your podcasts, including this one, and pitchpass.com if you just want to go right to a link to get it. And then obviously I referenced my Blue Sky a number of times. The post I've made, that is Gregory Roche, Roche. So that's where.
And if you don't find him there, you'll find both Gregory and I on Dolly DC sometime this season talking about exactly what we talked about today on this episode on that show. Thank you, everybody. You will see us back. Ted will be back next week, Monday, normal show, 8:30. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you then. Vamos.